You studied English for years in school. You know the grammar rules. You pass the tests. And then a tourist asks you one simple question on the street. And your mind goes completely blank. Nothing comes out.
And later that night, in the shower, the perfect answer suddenly arrives. Too late.
Every English learner knows that feeling. And here's the thing. It's almost never because you're bad at English. It's usually because of a few very specific, very common mistakes. Little habits that quietly hold you back.
And the good news? Once you see them, you can fix them. Fast.
Welcome to Lessons. I'm Maya.
And I'm Dev. Today, we're walking through the most common mistakes beginners make and exactly how to fix each one.
Quick favor before we start. If this channel has ever helped your English, hit subscribe. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and it helps other learners find us. And if you catch yourself in one of today's mistakes, and you will, tell us which one in the comments.
All right, let's get into it. Mistake number 1 is the big one. It's the root of so many others. The first big mistake is translating directly, word by word, from your native language into English.
Oh, this is the classic one. Because it feels logical, right? You think of the sentence in your language and you swap each word for the English one.
Exactly. But languages don't line up like that. Let me give you a real example. In many languages, you say your age with the verb to have. So learners say, I have 25 years.
And in English?
In English, we used to be, I am 25 years old. A different verb completely. Word-for-word translation gives you the wrong one every time.
I hear this one a lot too. I have hunger instead of I am hungry. Or I have cold instead of I am cold.
Right, the meaning is clear. People will understand you, but it marks you instantly as someone translating in their head.
So what's the fix? Because you can't just stop thinking in your language overnight.
True. The fix is to learn English in chunks, not single words. And we'll come back to that idea later because it's huge. But the mindset shift is this. Don't ask, how do I say my sentence in English? Ask, how does an English speaker express this idea? Those are two different questions.
That's a great way to put it. You're translating meaning, not words. Okay, mistake number 2. And honestly, this might be the most damaging one of all. Waiting until your English is good enough before you start speaking.
The perfectionism trap.
Learners tell me, I'll start speaking when I finish this grammar book or when I know more words. And that day never comes. Because there's always more to learn.
And here's the irony. Speaking is the very thing that makes you better at speaking. You can't learn to swim by reading about water.
Right? You have to get in the pool.
So the mistake isn't making errors. The mistake is staying silent to avoid errors. Every mistake you make out loud is actually feedback. It's information. It's you learning.
I love telling learners this. Nobody is judging you as harshly as you're judging yourself. A native speaker hears you trying in their language and thinks, wow, good for you. They're not counting your grammar mistakes.
So the fix, start speaking today. Not perfectly, just start. Talk to yourself, describe your room out loud, narrate what you're doing while you cook. Nobody's listening, so there's zero pressure.
That talk to yourself tip is underrated. It builds the habit of producing English, not just absorbing it.
This leads perfectly into mistake number 3. Treating English like a subject to study instead of a skill to use.
The person who can explain the present perfect tense in detail but freezes when they have to actually order a coffee.
Exactly. I've met learners who know grammar better than native speakers do. They can tell you what a third conditional is, but they can't hold a 2-minute conversation.
Because knowing about English and being able to use English are two totally different things.
Think of it like this. You could read every book ever written about riding a bicycle, memorize all of it. But the first time you actually get on a bike,
You're going to wobble and fall.
and that's fine. That's how you learn. So the fix isn't to stop studying grammar. Grammar helps. The fix is balance. For every hour you spend studying rules, spend an hour using the language. Listening, speaking, reading real things, writing messages.
I'd even say tilt it toward usage. Grammar is the map. But you still have to actually take the trip. Number 4. Trying to learn too much vocabulary and the wrong vocabulary.
Oh, the giant word lists. Learners memorize 100 random words a day and wonder why they still can't speak.
Because they're learning words they'll almost never use. Rare, fancy, academic words. Meanwhile, they don't fully know the small, everyday words that make up most conversations.
Here's a fact that shocks people. In English, roughly the most common 1,000 words cover the huge majority of everyday conversation. Just 1,000.
So the beginner who deeply learns the top 1,000 words will speak far better than the one who half knows 5,000.
Way better. Depth over width. It's better to truly own a small number of useful words, know how to use them, how they sound, what goes with them, than to have a huge list of words you recognize but can't use.
So the fix. Focus on high-frequency words. The words you actually hear every day. And instead of memorizing definitions, learn each word inside a full sentence.
Which again points us towards chunks. Everything today keeps pointing to the same place. Notice that. Mistake number 5 is one people ignore for way too long. Pronunciation, and especially word stress.
This is a quiet killer because you can have perfect grammar and great vocabulary. But if the stress is on the wrong part of the word, people won't understand you.
Let me show you what word stress even means. Take the word photograph. Stress on the first part. But photographer, suddenly it moves.
Same root word, completely different rhythm.
And if you say photographer with the stress in the wrong place, a listener has to stop and think, wait, what word is that? You've broken the flow.
English has this musical rhythm to it. Some parts of a word are strong, some are weak. Beginners often say every syllable with equal weight, and it sounds flat and hard to follow.
There's also the classic pair that changes meaning. I'm bored versus I'm boring.
Very different. I'm bored means you feel bored. I'm boring means you are the boring person.
So the fix. When you learn a new word, learn how it sounds, not just how it's spelled. Listen to it. Repeat it out loud. And here's a powerful tip. Record yourself, then compare it to a native speaker saying the same word.
That one's uncomfortable. Nobody likes hearing their own voice. But it's magic. You instantly hear the gap and your ear starts to fix it. Number 6 ties a lot of this together. The fear of making mistakes.
The single biggest thing holding learners back. Not talent, not memory, fear.
People are so scared of sounding silly that they say nothing at all. But think about how children learn a language. Do they wait until they're perfect?
Not at all. Kids make constant mistakes. They say things wrong all day long. Nobody laughs at them. And they become fluent precisely because they're not afraid.
Somewhere as adults, we lose that. We get self-conscious. And that fear becomes the wall.
So let me reframe mistakes completely. A mistake is not a failure. A mistake is a sign you're trying something slightly beyond your current level, which is exactly where learning happens.
If you never make mistakes, you're only using English you already know. You're not growing.
So the fix is a mindset. Aim to make mistakes, collect them. Every correction is a free lesson, tailored exactly to you.
And a practical tip. Find low-stakes places to fail. A language exchange, a patient friend, even talking to yourself. Build your confidence where the pressure is low.
Mistake number 7. Only doing input, never output.
Break that down for our listeners.
Input is everything you take in. Listening, reading, watching. Output is everything you put out. Speaking and writing. A lot of learners do only input. They watch endless videos and shows.
Which feels productive. You're surrounded by English. But
watching football doesn't make you a footballer. Input is essential. You need a lot of it. But if you only consume and never produce, your speaking stays weak.
it's like filling a bathtub but never opening the drain. All that English goes in, but you never practice getting it back out of your mouth.
A perfect image. So the fix is balance again. For the English you take in, create some English too. Watched a video? Say out loud what it was about. Read an article? Write 2 sentences summarizing it.
Turn passive English into active English. That's the bridge from I understand it to I can say it. All right, number 8. And Dev, this is the one we kept promising to come back to.
Finally, learning single, isolated words instead of phrases. What teachers call chunks or collocations.
Explain collocations because this concept honestly changed how I teach.
A collocation is just words that naturally go together. For example, in English we say make a mistake. We don't say do a mistake. But in a lot of languages you'd use the equivalent of do.
So a learner translating word by word says do a mistake, and it instantly sounds off even though every individual word is correct.
Right, same with take a shower, not make a shower. Heavy rain, not strong rain. Fast food, not quick food. Native speakers just know these pairs.
And you don't learn them from a dictionary. You learn them from exposure and by consciously grabbing whole phrases when you see them.
So the fix, and this is maybe the most powerful tip in the whole episode, stop learning words one at a time. Learn them in their natural group. Don't just learn decision. Learn make a decision. Don't just learn fun. Learn have fun.
When you store English as chunks, whole phrases come out of your mouth ready-made. You're not building sentences painfully word by word. You're speaking in blocks. That's what fluency actually is.
Number 9 is about how you practice. Being inconsistent. Studying 5 hours on Sunday, then nothing for the rest of the week.
The cramming approach. It feels like effort, but it doesn't stick.
Because language lives in your memory through repetition over time. Your brain needs to see something again and again, spaced out, to decide, okay, this is important, keep it.
So 15 minutes every single day beats 3 hours once a week.
By a mile. Consistency beats intensity. A little bit daily keeps the language active in your brain. Long gaps let it fade.
And honestly, 15 minutes a day is sustainable. You can do it on the bus while making coffee before bed. 3-hour marathons? You burn out and quit.
So the fix, build a small daily habit and protect it. Attach it to something you already do. After I brush my teeth, I do 10 minutes of English. Tiny, but every day.
The learners who improve aren't the ones who study the hardest for 1 week. They're the ones who show up for 10 minutes every day for a year. And the last one, number 10, is gentle but so important. Comparing yourself to native speakers or to other learners and feeling like you're failing.
This one breaks my heart, honestly. A learner is doing great, real progress, and they feel terrible because they don't sound like someone born speaking English.
But that's an impossible standard. A native speaker had thousands of hours before they even started school. You're comparing your chapter 2 to their chapter 50.
And here's a truth that frees people. The goal of learning English is not to sound like a native. The goal is to communicate clearly and confidently. Some of the most successful English speakers in the world have strong accents.
An accent isn't a mistake. It's not something to erase. It's just where you're from.
So the fix: change who you compare yourself to. Don't compare yourself to a native speaker. Compare yourself to you last month. Are you a little better than you were? Then you're winning.
Progress, not perfection. That could be the motto of this whole episode.
Okay, let's pull it all together. A quick recap of the 10 mistakes so they stick.
1. Translating word for word. Translate the idea, not the words.
2. Waiting until you're perfect to speak. Just start today.
3. Studying grammar but never using it. Balance study with real use.
4. Learning too many rare words. Master the common ones first.
5. Ignoring pronunciation and word stress. Learn how words sound, not just how they look.
6. Fearing mistakes. Mistakes are free lessons. Collect them.
7. Only input, never output. Produce English, don't just consume it.
8. Single words instead of phrases. Learn chunks and collocations.
9. Inconsistency. 15 minutes daily beats a weekend marathon.
10. Comparing yourself to native speakers. Compare yourself to you last month.
So here's your assignment, and it's tiny on purpose. Pick one mistake from today. Just one. The one that felt like we were reading your mind.
And this week, do the one fix for it. Not all 10. 1. That's how real change happens. One habit at a time.
Tell us in the comments which one you picked. We genuinely read them, and it helps us know what to teach next.
And if this helped, subscribe so the next lesson finds you. We're keeping these practical, honest, and beginner-friendly.
Remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. Progress, not perfection.
Thanks for learning with us.
See you in the next lesson.